session, we will be understanding Playway Curriculum for Literacy. An Introduction to Literacy. Literacy, according to Alberta Education 2018, is the ability, confidence, and the willingness to engage with a language so as to acquire it, construct it, and therefore communicate meaningful in every aspect of our living. It is a construct that helps in interaction in any social and cultural setup. Additionally, the Australian Bureau of Statistics 2006 referred to literacy as the most important foundations for success in school and life. Understanding the components of literacy may enable the teacher or facilitator to design and execute play-based activities. Learning outcomes. The reader would now be able to assimilate and distinguish between the components of literacy, assimilate and apply the components of literacy to design play-based teaching learning activities, understand a group existing knowledge based on components of literacy, understand how the activities developed enhances the group's existing knowledge, assess and evaluate the child's progress with the use of a playway approach, use motivation strategies as a vital tool to promote literacy and numeracy. The components of literacy for an early years curriculum. Firstly, phonological awareness. Phonology is an ability to understand the words are made of various sound units that can be segmented to a sound bit that are also known as syllables. A syllable comprises of an onset and a rim, the former being the first sound of the syllable, while the latter is the sound a syllable ends with. Phonological awareness is said to be the basis to developing phonics. To assess a child for his phonological skills, observe if they are able to use rhyming sounds or words, is able to dissect words into syllables, identify smaller words within another larger word. Example, foot or ball in a word football. The second one being phonemic awareness. This is one's ability to recognize and hear and establish that a spoken word is made up of series of discrete sounds. This holds good for any language that has an alphabetical writing system. A phoneme is a minute unit of sound in any language. All words are made up of phonemes that come together to make meaningful word. For instance, let's take the word wall and dissect it to get the phonemes w, o, l. Replace the w with a c and the phonemes will be like k, o, l. Promoting phonemic awareness allows for better printed word recognition by the means of identifying, comprehending, and manipulating sounds in spoken words. This is also a great indicator to reading, spelling, or vastly language difficulties. Activities designed for this component can include introducing the child to random word they identify with and then dissect the word based on discrete sounds. This can be done by a means of audio aids or visual cards. The recognition of a sound to a given letter must be established early on in order for the child to be able to progress to identifying and connecting units of a written word. Note, phonological awareness is an umbrella term for most, if not all, that relates to acquiring the function of words. Phonemic awareness can be defined as one feature of phonological awareness that includes only one's ability to understanding sound structures within a word It must be established here that most educationists use these two terms synonymously. Third one being phonics instruction. Phonics instruction deals with helping the child understand that specific alphabets and alphabet pattern possess particular sound and sound pattern. The recognition and association of the sounds to alphabet and alphabet pattern is a vital part to building literacy. Phonics instructions help in the development of fluency through reading and identification of sounds. Pronunciation, comprehension, and word knowledge is a byproduct of phonics instruction. As a child builds his or her phonic skills, vocabulary also grows. As a child builds confidence towards the correctness of specific sound and specific sound patterns, he or she consecutively increases the use of the words and thus builds vocabulary and comprehension. Activities for this component can include picture cards that are familiar to the child, which can be matched to the corresponding alphabet card. In addition, the picture cards to a corresponding alphabet can be plenty, and the child can group the cards to the sounds they perceive each word has. This can be supervised by a facilitator, and additionally, the child can be probed and asked to explain his selections. A phonics treasure hunt that includes the teacher displaying or audio playing or orally instructing a specific alphabet sound can be followed by the children exploring the environment for an object that has specific phonic sound. Vocabulary being the fourth. With the acquisition of phonological, phonemic and phonic skills, a child can progress to much more complex tasks of vocabulary acquisition. Vocabulary can be defined as one's knowledge of words along with meaning. This aspect of language development is most crucial, as this will help a child's comprehension and build a vocabulary bank that will further help in communication. It should be noted that a child learns how to speak much before he correctly acquires the skill listed in this section. Adding a visual tangible structure to the auditory acquisition that child has developed will promote reading and writing and therefore language readiness. Activities for development of vocabulary can include word and picture association tasks, word building with the use of phonic cards, letter of the day activities, syllabi of the day games, and so on. Fifth one being fluency. Fluency includes the ability to read, write, and speak with minimum to no external aid. Reading with a consistent speed that's backed with accuracy and that which also allows for expression constitutes fluency in literacy. A good literacy program will allow the child to effortlessly use words to build sentences and communicate their needs. Literacy also is needed to develop expressive beings and can target other areas of development positively. Activities for the development of fluency can include reading time, circle time, that is non-formal conversation, thematic conversation during circle time, and reading will allow a child to build vocabulary in specific themes, hence allowing them to associating one word with another. For example, I saw a white duck in the pond and I fed it some popcorn. I also enjoyed some chocolate, strawberry, and vanilla ice cream. Associating a water body with a white bird that can swim and feeding it some popcorn. Associating the flavors of 3 ice creams with their corresponding colors, that is brown, pink, and white scoops of ice cream. Sixth one is comprehension. an understanding of a word that encompasses meaning and its context can be referred to a comprehension. Comprehension is one of the most complex skills of literacy that will lead to avid reading and writing. It helps the child progress in academic learning and cognitive enhancement. Seventh one being writing. The ability of a child to generate a written script or text constitutes writing. Here, a child is able to use their skills of phonological, phonemic, and phonic awareness build early on their literacy program. Writing allows a child to put down their thoughts in text and express. Writing and reading are interrelated and allows for the child to combine both these skills to accomplish a well-designed literacy program. Play-centered activities for literacy. With the use of picture cards or flashcards, the teacher can instruct the class to identify the picture or share with the class the various syllables the word has. In addition, the child could be asked just to name the sound of the first or last syllable. A letter written on a previously folded slip can be drawn from a bowl, and each child could share one word that begins with the sound of the letter. A treasure hunt can be organized, and the children can be asked to move around their learning space and pick one object that begins with that alphabet. Word cards can be scattered on the floor, and a child can pick up these cards to build meaningful sentences. The teacher can provide the group with a theme and ask the children to make a sentence of their choice with relation to the theme. A variation of the sentence building game. The teacher writes on her blackboard carries words, and the student uses any combination of words to make as many sentences as he can. Word association tasks can be played with children who have just begun to read. Word matching games help children add a pictorial representation of the word they choose and vice versa. A word building activity can be conducted in groups during circle time. Whilst one child says a letter from the alphabet, the child seated next to him calls out the word. The next child picks up a letter from the word said by the second child, and the child sitting next to him, that's the fourth child, says a word with the letter the third child picked. This can continue until all children get their turn. To add challenge, ask the child to pick words based on the theme of the day. During the roll call at the beginning of every day, as the teacher calls out each child's name, the child can be instructed to orally sound the first syllable of his name. Depending on the age and progress of group, the teacher can now instruct the child to orally sound all the syllables in his or her name. Games for older groups can include the structures in language and grammar, that is, conjunctions, nouns, verbs, adverbs, prepositions, and so on. To conclude today's session, developing an understanding and mastery over what literacy is helps the teacher deliver to her students a well-thought activity. Activities can be well planned or can be a part of incidental learning. An equipped teacher will be able to adapt and adopt instantly based on the students' responses. To understand the components and design play-based activities for the same is not challenging but also crucial to the attainment of the sub-skills to language attainment. An emphasis should be laid on developing age-appropriate activities to help the child progress with ample positive challenge. Similarly, the session to follow will focus on the numeracy and its components. The design and development of play-based numeracy activities will also be discussed.